Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Right now I'm working on infinity scarf and I'm knitting it in Garter Stitch on a circular needle in rounds. And today I'd like to show you how I'm knitting my Garter Stitch in rounds on circular needle. This is infinity scarf gonna go with my hat that I just finished, and also I was knitting it in rounds on circular needle. For the hat I was knitting in one thread and I just saw that it's gonna be a little too much to knit it with 2 yarns, but for my infinity scarf I'm using 2 yarns, 2 threads at once. I'm knitting with yarn Greta. It's Italian yarn, 50 grams and 90 meters in one ball, 50% merino wool and 50% acrylic. Yarn is very soft and light and it's really comfortable to wear. Usually when you knitting in rounds and you stick to one pattern, for example, you purling or you just making knit stitches, you have to stick to them all the time in rounds. So you're not switching rows and you making purls all the way or knits all the way. Another good thing about knitting in rounds is that you don't have a seam. However, when you want to make a garter stitch, you have to switch rows, you have to switch rounds. So in one round you have to purl and in another round you have to knit. And you're gonna see a little ridge that's gonna look like a seam, but technically it's not a seam. It's just a place where you stitch one round with purls to another round with knits. Also, when you're gonna take a closer look to your knitting, you're gonna see that you have a little bumps. It's like a purls, so it was a round with purls, and in other round you have a little V's, so it means that in other round you were knitting. So in the round that I'm right now working on, I'm finishing it. I see that a little ridge right here, so I have 4 stitches on my left needle, and I have a little V's on them. So it means that right now I have to purl. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna purl these 4 loops. And right now I'm at the place where I have my ridge. Sometimes it's difficult to see this little ridge, especially when you're at the beginning of your knitting and you just joined your knitting in round. So I would suggest just for a couple of rows at least, or you can keep it for whole knitting as well, to use a marker. So you can just put a marker on your needle, not in your knitting. So you're gonna see where is the place that you have to switch from one pattern to another one. So from purls to knits. So on the other side, on the beside the ridge, I see that I have already purls. I have purls made here, so it means that right now I have to knit those stitches, those loops in next round. And I have my marker placed just in the middle between those 2 loops, and it's a place where I have my ridge. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna continue with knits. And now I see that I made a little V's, and it seems like my pattern is the right pattern. I did everything right. Let's take a look what's gonna happen if you're gonna continue purling those loops. So I'm gonna bring back my loops and I'm gonna continue purling those loops just to see what's gonna happen. So I purled those 3 loops, and you see that I have these little bumps really close one to another, and I don't have any ridges in between them with this. So it means that it's not the right pattern that I have. On the other side, it's also going to be clearly seen, because on the other side, let me turn my work. On the other side, you're going to see that you have 2 rows, 2 rounds with these. So I'm gonna bring back on my left needle these loops. And I have to continue knitting those loops that I have on the left needle. The only other thing that you have to make sure is that you're not twisting your loops. For example, if you get used to knitting your loops taken by the front half of the loop, so you have to make sure that you're not twisting your loops in the pattern. So in this case, I have to take it by the back loop, half of the loop, by the back leg, and knitting it like that. If I'm gonna take it by the front leg, my loop gonna be twisted, and that's not what I want. So I have to stick to knitting it by the back leg. Of course, if you're working on a small project like a hat or socks, you can use a set of 5 straight needles and work on them. It's going to be also comfortable. However, if you have a big project like I have right now, like infinity scarf, it's going to be more comfortable to use circular needles. At some point, you're going to see that your loops are bunching up on your right needle. So at some point, you're gonna just need to bring them to the other side. So you're gonna just bring them to the right side, and you're gonna have some space again on the right side. On the left needle, you're just gonna need to bring them forward, your loops, and continue working. And I'm almost done with my round of knits. Right now I have 4 loops on my left needle that you see that they are purls, so I have to knit them, and I'm gonna finish them. I have my marker here, and it's gonna be my indications that I have reached, and I have to switch my rounds from one pattern to another one. So I have to switch knits to purls, and I'm just gonna continue with my purls. It's gonna be my next round. I have little bumps like purls, so my pattern is going according to the plan. I hope this video is gonna be helpful to you, and I wish you good luck with your knit projects.